All right, so while I was doing a little bit of a live stream on Patreon today, other news has come out, so we're going to do a second news of the day for today, and then we'll see how it comes up tomorrow morning. So the Hub City thing seems to be this giant, it's going to be Vegas, but maybe not kind of vibe going on with it. The Hub decision is apparently going to be late this week, early next week, and the NHLPA is involved. So again, one thing that's out there, one narrative that's out there that I like to knock this down when I can. Nothing is going to happen without the union being in lockstep with the National Hockey League. So Kevin Bieksa made a statement where he said, there's a lot of players aren't sure this is going to happen. I'm sure. And there's healthy speculation on what could or may not happen, not just from players, but from fans. And likely, if held their feet to the fire, probably from coaches, general managers, and others about the feasibility of being able to do this. But it is a joint effort. Major League Baseball could learn from that. Rob Manfred had come out today and kind of went, I don't know if we're going to have a season. So, for hockey, if they can make this work, and if they can come back first, or at the very least in lockstep with basketball, there's a large audience that could be all theirs. NHLPA is involved. This is from Pierre Lebrun, and we'll see. So, yes, Vegas is very likely, but it again appears to be dependent on what the Canadian government's going to decide about how they're going to handle the 14-day quarantine with athletes, and that should be a very interesting thing. Now, another signing today, an extension. So Ryan Reaves has signed an extension with the Vegas Golden Knights, and this is a smart move. Smart move for Reaves and for Vegas. 2 years at $1.75 million per year. And I know when he was an expiring free agent, and I said, I can't see him going anywhere, there were people who said, I could see Vegas moving on from him and moving on to something else. There's something Reaves brings to this team that I don't think there's anybody else in the system, anybody else on the roster that brings that element. So, yeah, Reaves will be staying in Vegas for at least another 2 years, and that's only a good thing if you're a Vegas fan. Artem Zagadulin will be sticking around with Calgary for another year. He signs a 1-year extension. This season in Stockton at a 16-7-4 record with an .898 save percentage, 24 years of age. And that's goaltending depth. So whether he ends up pushing for a job, depending on what they do with their backup position in the offseason, or whether he's just going to be Stockton's number 1 or number 1B, at least he gets another year to prove himself in North America. And we'll see. You've got to think that if it doesn't happen for him and he's 25 at this time next year, that likely then he would probably go to the KHL and play over there. Now, speaking of American Hockey League, there's a return task force that's been formed for next season and looking into next season. I know Kyle Dubas is on it. There's numerous people on it from NHL and from AHL sides of things. And so this is a task force that will look into, okay, how do we have next season and how's it going to look? And it makes sense to have NHL voices in that room because, of course, this is trying to decide what system will be used for developing NHL players in the minor leagues and how this is going to work. And don't be surprised if we hear words like hub cities and things like this being thrown around for the AHL, because when we talk about the NHL regular season and what the NHL regular season next year might look like, the AHL could kind of be a pilot project for that as well. So we've seen rule changes, tried in the AHL. We've seen changes in the way the game's going to be played, tried in the AHL, whether it's taking out the center line or whatever it was before it reaches the NHL. Maybe the AHL will be used as the pilot project to decide how next season could work in the National Hockey League. So you could have the AHL playing sooner than the NHL when it comes to the regular season, have not necessarily overlap, but you may have AHL teams playing earlier. We'll see how this works. But again, you may test things in the AHL and see how it works before you try them in the NHL when it comes to scheduling and figuring out the regular season. So for people who said, hey, the NHL should just trash this season and look for next year, this AHL task force may very well come up with a playbook that the NHL then follows afterwards, where they go, you know what, those are some really good ideas. We could do that with the National Hockey League with scheduling next year as well. Now, on a Winnipeg side of things, I don't have a real reason to be wearing Vancouver right now, other than the Hub City thing not being decided, and you just never know. You just never know. Even to the point where I was reading one report today that said, you know what, Chicago is still in the running. Chicago is making a really hard push for a Hub City consideration, at least on some level. But yeah, so I'm still hopeful that Vancouver maybe gets in there. Winnipeg, two guys signed over the last couple of days. Christian Reichel was reported to be signed yesterday. 2-year entry-level contract. He played for the Manitoba Moose this season, so this is his first NHL contract from everything I'm able to gather. Arvid Holm signs a 3-year entry-level contract with the Winnipeg Jets. Unlike Reichel, Holm was a draft pick of the Winnipeg Jets as well. 167th pick overall in 2017. And we'll see whether or not he pushes for a job next year. Keep in mind, entry-level contracts are normally decided by June 1st. That was pushed back to July 1st. And now we're likely going to see other things getting pushed back that normally happen on July 1st. But stay tuned, because things are going to get interesting. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.